Hey guys, what up? Dramatic here. And we're playing some Tarkov. Oh. Hello. I'm friendly, man. See, I got no weapon. I got no beef. Alright. Wait.
Hold it!
Oh! Oh! Thanks,
Hold
man.
fire.
Appreciate it. A little friendly wiggle there. Hey, buddy! Thank you. Alright.
Gonna lay down my sword and shield down by the riverside, down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Gonna lay down my sword and shield.
This will come in handy.
Down by the riverside, study war no
My gun's
more.
jammed. I gotta be
I
careful.
ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war
where he
no
went.
more. Ain't gonna study war no more.
Oh!
I ain't gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study war no more.
I
Ain't
got
gonna
one.
study war
You guys got a
no
Mosin.
more.
At least I think.
I'm gonna put on my long white robe down by the riverside, down by the riverside. Down
There's
by
another
the
one down.
riverside. I'm gonna put on my long white robe down by the riverside and study.
I think the
war
server
no
crashed.
more. I ain't
Hello?
gonna study war no more. Ain't gonna study
Hello
war
there.
No more. Ain't gonna study
Rip
war
in the
no
chat.
more.
Now, recently on YouTube, my quality has gotten quite better, and that is mainly because I have a dual PC setup. Now, I've posted pictures and videos on Instagram and Twitter, and people have actually asked me to do a video on my dual PC setup, so that's what this video will be about. Now, moving on to what's actually in my streaming PC. First off, we have for the case an H700i NZXT RGB case. Now, this case is actually really unique. It's got a lot of cool features when it comes to putting your hard drives in or cable management. It's actually got slots behind the case where you can thread your cords all the way up to the front, and it's almost unnoticeable when you look inside the glass compartment. Now, when it comes to the hard drives and the solid state drives, you have the ability to hide them or kind of like clip them on next to the motherboard. And this feature is really cool because depending on what you want your PC to look like, you can have it look pre-built where you have no cords really showing or any like hard drives, or you can have it have that kind of messy look. I kind of went with in between. I have my solid state drive on the front where it's noticeable, but then the actual HDD drives I have behind the motherboard, so like all the cords and stuff are behind the motherboard and you can't really tell. Now, moving on to the motherboard, we have a ASRock Fatality Z97 Killer. Now, this is a motherboard I got off a friend that my dad works with, and same with the i5. The i5 I actually got from a old PC. Now, the i5 is a 4-core processor, and moving on to the GPU, we have an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 970. All these parts are kind of leftover parts from past PCs or just people I know who were getting rid of stuff. Now, the graphics card is kind of high end for a streaming PC. You honestly don't need an i5 or a high-end graphics card. But I ended up getting this graphics card for around $100, which this graphics card is not cheap if you look on Amazon. So I got a pretty good deal on it. Now, going on to the RAM, we have 16 gigabytes of regular RAM. This is RAM I took out of an old Dell computer, so I'm not quite sure what brand. I think it's just Dell's brand of RAM. I don't know. Now, moving on to the HDD, we're rocking a Western Digital Blue. It is a 2 terabyte hard drive, and that's mainly so I can get all the recordings and streams on there and then transfer it over to my gaming PC where I then edit. And then for the SSD, I'm rocking a Patriot Burst 120 gigabyte solid state drive. Now, this drive is kind of small, but it's small because since I'm going to be using this streaming PC and the only really applications I have downloaded are Elgato software and OBS and maybe even Streamlabs, that's kind of why I got a small solid state drive. Now, moving on to the gaming PC, a lot of you guys already know what's in the gaming PC, but I'm going to go ahead and read off the specs anyways. Now, for the case, I'm using a Crystal Corsair 460X RGB compact mid-tower case, and it's got 3 RGB fans as well as tempered glass. It's similar to the NZXT case, only the difference is they're both mid-tower, but the NZXT case for some odd reason is a lot bigger than the Corsair case. I think when it comes to Corsair, they like making their products, especially like their mouses and their cases, a lot more compact and small, but really heavy. Like for instance, I'm going to talk about my mouse and my keyboard. They're both very small, and I have huge hands, but they have a lot of weight and they're silent. Like there's no clanking when either using the keyboard or the mouse. So I'm going to kind of get more into that when we get to the accessories for my setup. But anyways, moving on to the motherboard, I'm using a ASRock Taiyachi X370 motherboard. It is RGB as well. And then when we go over to the RAM, I'm using 16 gigabytes of Ripjaw's V series RAM. And when it comes to the CPU, I have a AMD Ryzen 7 1700 8-core processor. Now this 8-core processor has hyper-threading as well, which turns the 8 cores into 16. And as you guys on Twitch have noticed, I can stream at really good resolution just on my gaming PC, and then I can stream at even higher resolution on my streaming PC. But before, my streams would be laggy, and that was mainly because my monitor wasn't synced up with my GPU, and I'll get a little bit more in depth with that as well when it comes to looking at really good monitors for a setup. Now moving on to the graphics card, I got a GTX 1080 NVIDIA graphics card. Typical for a high-end gaming PC, you want to have that high-end graphics card so you can play all the best looking games. Now for the SSD, I have a Samsung Evo 960 SSD, very good, fast, solid state drive. And then moving on to the HDD, I have yet another Western Digital Blue hard drive. It's 1 terabyte instead of 2 terabytes. I may end up getting a 2 terabyte drive pretty soon, and that's basically the main specs of both PCs. Now moving on to the desktop setup, we're going to talk about the mouse first, and then we're going to move on to the keyboard, the mouse pad, the monitors, and then I'll talk a little bit about the camera I use, and that should be basically the video. Now moving on to the mouse, I'm using a Glaive RGB Corsair mouse. Now when I pick it up and I kind of use it, it's got some weight to it. It's even got weights in the bottom and on the sides that you can change out, and it's also got a thumb pad that you can change depending on how big your fingers are, to give the mouse a little bit more of a aerodynamics. So whenever I'm playing an FPS, I usually have the smallest thumb mount on there, just because my thumb isn't as big as like my my 3 ring fingers. So whenever I'm using the mouse, I have just basically the smallest mouse or thumb pad, and the mouse is very aerodynamic. It's kind of got some weight to it, but I do like my mouse is heavy compared to, say, the Death Adder, which is a Razer mouse. That was the first mouse I ever got, and I actually got it for free. Used it for a bit, didn't like it, so I ended up purchasing this Corsair mouse, and after using it for a while, I actually really enjoy it. Now moving on to the keyboard, it's also Corsair. It is a Corsair R65 Lux RGB keyboard. Now this keyboard is red keyed, so basically what red key means is that it's silent, so whenever I have my mic above my keyboard, the mic doesn't end up picking the noises. I like it. It has some clicks to it so that whenever I'm playing a game, it's got some traction, so I'm not completely just pressing down a key and it doesn't feel like it clicks in, but it is silent, so my mic can't pick it up. Now moving on to the mouse pad. The mouse pad is a MM800 RGB Polaris mouse pad. It's actually solid, so it's not cloth. And what I've found with cloth mouse pads is the mouses, like at the bottom of the mouse, they tend to get stuck on parts of the cloth mouse, especially if you're playing a first-person shooter and you have your sensitivity turned all the way up and you're moving around the mouse pad. Sometimes the mouse, like the back of the mouse or like your palm, will get stuck on the mouse pad, which then causes the mouse pad to flip up. Now I went with an RGB mouse pad that's actually solid and it's Polaris, because of the fact that I have more traction. It's a lot more fluid. I don't have to have my sensitivity as high since it is solid. I can have my DPI and my sensitivity low, but still get the same accuracy as if my sensitivity was the way I wanted it to be. Now moving on to the headset. The headset I use is a Corsair Void Pro USB headset. This headset works just as well as Astro's in my opinion. Both really good companies. My headset has really good padding. It's very comfortable. I can wear this headset for, I guess I could wear it for a long time because with Turtle Beaches and with Beats and even I know I had a pair of Audio Technicas at school that I would wear when I took a college course. It was a media course. We had Audio Technica headsets, and I liked them. The sound was good, but they weren't comfortable. Now this Corsair headset, I didn't think it would be as comfortable as it is, but I don't know. I think it's a really good headset, really good sound. It's got really good surround sound in it. I know for like Battlefield, I can hear footsteps pretty well. Now moving on to the monitors. For my main monitor, I'm rocking the Acer Predator 2460Hz G-Sync 1080p monitor. It's a really good gaming monitor. I am planning on upgrading to a 1440p monitor. I have one, but it is not G-Sync, it is FreeSync, which if you guys don't know the difference, FreeSync is for AMD graphics card and G-Sync is for NVIDIA. Now, having a G-Sync monitor or a FreeSync monitor, depending on what graphics card manufacturer you have, it basically has it to where you don't really drop FPS. I've noticed in Tarkov, I'll get a little bit of stutters, but that's Tarkov being Tarkov. But when it comes to gameplay, the FPS never drops below 60 and it's always above 60. So that's basically what the monitor does, is it keeps that frame rate refresh rate, and it keeps refreshing the frame rate so that you're not dropping any frames and it's consistent with your graphics card. Now moving on to the second monitor, it is Acer as well. You guys may think I'm sponsored by Acer now, but it's just a regular Acer 144Hz monitor. The monitor is a Acer XF 24-inch monitor. Like I said, it's got 144 Hz. Both really good monitors. I do like playing on the G-Sync more, mainly because I feel like I have an advantage with G-Sync. Now when it comes to my microphone, I'm using a Audio Technica AT2020 USB condenser microphone. Audio Technica, their products are really good, especially microphones. I've been an Audio Technica fanboy ever since I took a media class in high school. We used a lot of their products, and so it's kind of been something I've stuck with. Now for the face cam, I'm using a Logitech Pro webcam, but I have recently started using my DSLR camera for a webcam. Now with the DSLR, it is a Nikon D3300. I do need to get a capture card for it though, because a lot of programs that are software based, when it comes to using a DSLR for a webcam, which a lot of streamers use, it is very annoying because a lot of the programs are laggy. They can't keep up with the high frame rate in a DSLR camera, or the lens and the lighting and all this other stuff. So until I get a capture card for the camera, I'm using the Logitech Pro, which it goes on sale pretty frequently. It's a really good webcam, 1080p, 60 FPS. But yeah, that's basically my setup, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'm gonna link all the products down below, the PC parts, the accessories, everything. But that's basically my setup. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.